Hello, my name is Sirpa Lappalainen and I work at the University of Eastern Finland.
Hi, my name is Zsuzsa Millei and I'm working at Tampere University in Finland.
In our presentation, we compare how nation is established and reproduced in two early childhood education institutions, one in Hungary and one in Australia. We especially focus on bordering as a form of everyday nationalism that, in our view, first, works in contention with pedagogies necessary in our time of climate crisis, and second, that supports oligarchic capitalism. Nationhood is continuously produced and reproduced in institutions. In his book titled National Belonging and Everyday Life, Michael Skay calls for understanding national sense-making as embedded in everyday routines and practices. This approach turns away from looking at nation building as an elite project, so from top down. It focuses on those on the ground and their agencies in the production and reproduction of nation. Thinking within the frame of everyday nationalism, we explore bordering as an everyday practice in early childhood education. Bordering as a practice is both metaphorical and real, and happens through, for example, maps, cultural artifacts, feelings of we-ness, and ways of life. In our view, bordering forms a part of the pedagogy of nation, through which we learn to belong and identify with the nation, conceived on specific terms. Bordering invokes and utilizes nation-bound and human-dominated images of the world in teaching children national belonging. This imaginary of the human-dominated world is troubled by the idea of the common world, outlined by Africa Taylor and Varinoika Pacini-Kachaba. In their view, humans cohabit and co-share belonging with the animals, plants, rocks, forces, and so on. In a similar manner, Sue Donaldson and Will Kimritska, in their book titled Zoopolis, consider animals as citizens, where citizenship means nationality. In our paper, in line with these views, we expand the view of nation to include the modern human socialities. Bordering, the current reassembling of walls, borders, and imaginary bordering of nation by conservative politics, also works as distraction and deflection from the domination of oligarchic capitalism and climate crisis. It orientates the public's attention to focus on the other, the imaginary enemies. At the same time, capitalism continues to accumulate wealth for a very few through the growing exploitation of the majority. Research today directly links higher household income to higher greenhouse gas emission. We know that income inequality is detrimental to the climate. We know also that climate change increases global economic inequality, and therefore, as the climate catastrophe and chaos unfolds even further, it is expected that the wealthy will benefit the most.
We define nationalism by borrowing from John Fox and Cynthia Miller-Idris. Nationalism is the project to make the political unit, the state or polity, congruent with the cultural unit, the nation. Nationalism is an elite project. It happens from above and portrays the nation as an established community to which people may relate with a mix of pride, attachment, or criticism. Everyday nationalism is bottom-up, but connects with elite nationalism. Everyday nationalism places importance on the relevance to and agency of people. It presents in everyday life, in specific circumstances, and in ways so taken for granted that it is hard to notice. It is connected to the assumptions, hopes, needs, longings, and interests of ordinary people. Now, we tell two examples to show the operation of bordering in the two field sites.
In the following event in the Australian setting, the children play a game as a part of the morning circle time after storytelling.
The large map of Australia is on the floor, and children and the teacher form a circle and sing the Traveling Around Australia song by moving around in a circle over the map holding hands. The lyrics of the songs are, I travel around Australia on highway number 1. I travel around Australia just to have some fun. When I've got to, And the teacher points to Ollie and asks, "Where do you like to go in Australia? Point to it. Where have you been? Where have you just been now on your holiday?" Ollie doesn't seem to remember, so one of the teacher helps. "Yes, you did with Mom and Dad in your caravan." The other teacher makes skiing motions. "To the snow," Ollie says. The teacher then points to the snow on the map where Ollie was. Ollie watches the teacher pointing, then suddenly looks at the other side of the map and says, "Perth." "All right, I'll take you to Perth," the teacher replies. They continue teaching. "When we got to Perth, we stopped to see someone, and Ollie said," the teacher asked Ollie, "What did you do in Perth?" "Jump, jump and spin around and hop," Ollie responds. They all do these movements in the circle. Then the song starts again. "I travel around Australia on highway number 1.
In this activity, the map and the song have a central role. Through repetition, movement around the map, rhythm and lyrics, the teachers and children perform in embodied ways the national space. The map constructs Australia, children perform borders, and the emerging collective feeling invite children to identify. As Sirpa explains, how we use our bodies in the foods we consume and in our relationship with the landscape, there is a continual reminder of who we are and what we believe in. This is why individuals do not forget their identity. This is how the children learn and perform nationhood in this example. Fox and Idris highlight the ways in which nationhood frames the choices people make and how they make those choices national. Here, children's choices are associated with holidaying and enjoying the Australian landscape. As Bradford explains, choice in lifestyle typifies Australia. Prepared by the teacher, a large map of Hungary hangs on the wall. Books with Hungarian objects and pictures of food placed on the tables invite the children to engage with. They are all part of the curriculum of Hungary.
A large paper marked with the border of Hungary is on the floor. The map is surrounded by waiting children. Pencils are handed over to the children by color, one by one. A child arrives and is invited. "Come here and see what we are doing. Imagine, this is the map of Hungary. We drew this large and now we would like to color it." Children are waiting patiently and the teacher gives the instruction. The task is to draw inside the line. 12 children start working, pencils moving fast, giving a rhythmic sound in the quiet room. "Remain within the border." The teacher repeats it a few times. Peter says, "Teacher, my hands are getting tired." Teacher responds, "From this? It got tired very quickly. Look how much more we need to color." A few children complain about their hands. The teacher responds, "You are very industrious." The children respond, "Oh, we have to work a lot." After a while, the teacher stops the children and brings over the board game with Hungaricums, asking, "Where is the sausage on the map? Now let's find a place on the big map. So where is the sausage on the large map?" Children are pointing to the place. "Yes, now everybody moves back," so they had to remove themselves from the map. "Where can it be on the large map?" The children again point to the map, on the large map. "Yes, here. Now, who can draw a sausage?" Hands in the air, children say, "Me, me, me." So the activity continues, and the teacher invites positive comments. "It is looking great, isn't it?"
The map and border exert a pedagogical force to teach about inside and outside and its inclusions and exclusions. Only those who can draw well are allowed to draw on the territory of Hungary. Others need to wait patiently following the drawer. Through the drawing, an imaginary and a taste of Hungary emerge. Children learn expected behaviors, perseverance, and patience. Belonging and place are being performed through these practices. Here, symbols and choice of the place make choices national. Performing this knowledge, children performed nationhood. The borders of the nation keep children's coloring hands inside. Little hands learn to protect and respect the national border.
Hungary and Australia have different national histories. The historical border of Greater Hungary changed under the Treaty of Trianon in 1920. Hungary was reduced to less than 2/3 of its territory. Cartographic imaginary, therefore, is an important part of current politics. Mythical folk traditions and national culture are also portrayed prominently in everyday life and as part of the national early childhood curriculum.
The Australian national imaginary hinges on the myth of Australia's informality, classlessness, and love of the natural. According to Bradford, outdoor spaces generate an interpersonal quality of shared social life with an inherently egalitarian quality. Borders keep this lifestyle protected.
Now we turn to explain everyday nationalism within this context. Maps play an important role in the pedagogy of nation, as Anthropocene also asserts. While children inhabit the interiority of national spaces marked out by maps, they are incited to act as border guards, protecting it and its culture and values. In Hungary, our broader study reveals that teaching the nation is explicitly concerned with the ideational and ideological elements of nation. In this way, this type of pedagogy connected to and the pedagogy connected to it can be considered as nationalism from above. The values, practices, feelings learned can be easily mobilized to gain support for the building of walls, excluding migrants. It can also easily offer support for a program that seeks to reinstate the historical imperial position of Hungary by forming sub-EU rightist and conservative alliance.
The map in Australia promotes and gives choices for stereotypical lifestyle. Mixed with children's interest, choice making connects to official politics that seeks to defend this lifestyle. In Australia, politics focuses on cherishing and maintaining good life, which is of course more available for some than others. Therefore, it can be easily mobilized to support resource exploitation, the coal industry, the denial of climate science. As former Prime Minister Tampere speech, when Australians' lives are at risk, when they are being threatened, when their families and their homes and everything they hold dear is being put at threat. That's a national security issue.
Based on this small preview of our data and the overall study, we argue, first, that nationhood in preschool is performed in an unreflexive manner in both contexts, without awareness of the potentially exclusionary nature of national culture invoked. Thus, we emphasize the urgent need for more research that explores how everyday nationalism operates in different school contexts, and in relation to that, the utilization of reflexive pedagogies.
Second, it seems that globally super diversity presents a challenge to social cohesion or the unity of a nation. Nation and diversity works in an either-or logic, either diversity or national unity. The two seemingly cannot work together. In this context, integration aims to decrease diversity in many places with a view of increasing national coherence. But nation and diversity can coexist also, when narratives draw on notions of unity that includes diversities. This is a view of national unity in diversity following Brubaker and Mudul's theoretizations. This ideal of unity in diversity, however, cannot be established on the normality of Hungarian or Australian national values and or norms. They need to include all people who take residence in these nations. It also needs to seek out what brings people together and how all can be accepted, and how everyone can recognize oneself in unity, in diversity.
Third, we would like to make one more step in our closing words. Practices of bordering are also further human-dominated images of the world. The question thus stays with us: how can the nation work on even more inclusive terms? How can we produce everyday nationalism that promotes not only the belonging of whole humans residing in a country, but also promote modern human socialities, as Singh writes? This commonality could bring into view the nation's embeddedness in a common world. In our view, this is the challenge for the new pedagogies of nation during the Anthropocene in early childhood education. Thank you very much for your attention. And as we prepared this paper, we had to make necessary shortcuts. So if you would like to read the paper, please follow the link and read our paper in European education. Thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you.